welcome one and all to Post Office Road for the Stormsbridge Championship game between Featherstone Rovers and the champions of the First Division for this season, and they'll be going up into the Super League, Salford Reds. The Salford Reds team for this afternoon: number 1, Jason Lawrence; number 2, Phil Cousins; 3, Phil Knowles; 4, Scott Martin; 5, Fatty Simi; 6 is Paul Manson; 7, Ali Davis; 8 is Ian Blease; 9, Peter Edwards; 10, Cliff Eccles; 11, Paul Forber; 12, Lucchini Savellino; and 13, Sam Panaper. 14 being Ian Watson; 15, Mark Alker; 16, Craig Randall; and 17, Andy Burgess. The Featherstone Rovers team: number 1, Steve Lay; 2, Eddie Rombo; 3, Neil Summers; 4, Darren Hughes; 5, Jamie Stokes; 6, Martin Pearson; 7, Derek Fox; 8, Steve Malloy; 9, Colin Maskell; 10, Craig Jackson; 11, Roy Powell; 12, John Sharp; and 13, Richard Slater. Number 14, Richard Gunn; 15, Jason Sims; 16, Richard Newlove; and 17, Lee Bargett. Referee for today is Mr. Kirkpatrick, just running onto the field there. So one had the feeling at the beginning of this season that this last game of the season in this first season of the Super League season, the summer season, this will be the match of all matches to decide who'll be going to the First Division. But I'm afraid that Featherstone Rovers got a bit late in the last 3 matches. They've lost the last 3 matches at home to Keighley, away to Huddersfield, and last week a disappointing loss at Hull. So on the other hand, Salford have gone through this summer season just with 1 defeat. So just looking down there, the Rovers chairman there, Steve Wagner, just presenting our groundsman here, Fred Levine, 25 years service. Well done, Fred. Congratulations to you. Well, going back to the Salford Reds, they've just had 1 defeat this season, losing away to Hull early on in the season, and since then they've never looked back and thoroughly deserved their place in the Super League, and we wish them all the well. Well done, Salford Reds. Now then, back to today's game. Can Featherstone Rovers get their pride back here at Post Office Road? And just looking down at the team, Salford are missing Nathan McAvoy. To me, one of the best centres in the game today is we've got Paul Newlove and Gary Connolly playing in the Great Britain centres, but give us another 12 months and I'm sure Nathan McAvoy will be really knocking on the door to replace them 2 centres. Still only a young lad. Missing from the Salford lineup though is Jeremy Rogers, another wingman centre, signed on from Dewsbury. And just looking at the Rovers team, David Ward pitching Richard Newlove and Lee Bargett in on the substitutes bench. See if they can't get something out of the game today. Anyway, it's Salford Reds in possession just inside their own 20-metre area. And just looking around at the crowd this afternoon, there's a few Salford supporters coming over the Pennines to support their team. Poor turnout from the Featherstone Rovers supporters though. So Derek Fox there making the tackles. So it's Peter Edwards, the New Zealander, to Ali Davis. Ali Davis ball back inside there to Paul Forber, the ex-New Zealand, ex-St Helens player, I should say, just to that on the halfway line. So it's Peter Edwards to Ali Davis. Ali Davis there kicking that ball through. Also missing from the Salford lineup is Steve Blakely. So it's Eddie Rombo for Rovers. 14 tries to his name this season already, Eddie Rombo. So it's Johnny Sharp being tackled there by Sam Panaper. Good defence that, and number 12 there, Lucchino Sevellino there making sure the tackle. So it's Derek Fox to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson to Neil Summers, cutting inside, gets that ball to Eddie Rombo. Eddie Rombo trying to keep the game going. So it's Fatasini kicking the ball on. Fatasini there picks the ball up. The ball just rolls into touch though. Scoring chance there for number 5 there, Fatasini. Bad mistake by Rovers, losing that ball on that far side. So it'll be the first scrum of the match. It'll be Derek Fox to feed the scrum just inside that Rovers 20-metre line. The ball's in its heart to Rovers. Neil Summers taking the stand-off half position for that scrum. Ali Davies there making the tackle, so it's Richard Slater. But good strong tackling there, Peter Edwards. And number 12 there, Lucchini Severino making the tackles, so it's Steve Malloy looking for the halfway line. Good run there by the big fella, so it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Johnny Sharp on the loop. Once again, Severino there in at the tackles. Peter Edwards and all there stopping Johnny Sharp in his tracks, so it's Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson! Halfway through the gap, so it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox now, Derek Fox, that little kick over there. And that's well took, that. Superb take there by number 2 there, Phil Cousins. But Jamie Stokes, the 16-year-old youngster, getting up there for that high kick-off. Superb play there by Jamie Stokes, making the tackle. Just looking down at Jamie Stokes, is supporting a new haircut. This last match of the season. So Craig Jackson, well, he makes a right hash of that. And Steve Leigh, rightly so, has to kill the ball. That's the knock-on. Bad mistake that by Craig Jackson. Puts the initiative over to Salford. Sheriff Featherstone was having 6 more tackles in that Salford half of the field. It's Ali Davies feeding the scrum for Salford. Sam Panaper gets his ball out of the scrum. Good play this. Jason Lawrence on just recently signed on from York. Makes the mistake. That's a knock-on. That'll be a Featherstone feed. Eden feed to Featherstone Rovers. Derek Fox to feed the scrum. The referee will always go back to the first offence, first knock-on. Just going back to Jason Lawrence though, 1 or 2 big clubs have been after this York fullback, and Salford's snapped the player up. Steve Hampson also missing from this Salford lineup for today's match, so it's Martin Pearson to Roy Powell, looking for that halfway line. Good defence there by Peter Edwards, so it's Craig Jackson. And Salford caught offside. Sir Kirkpatrick there playing the advantage, like all referees do in today's modern game. So here's a chance for Martin Pearson to open the account for this afternoon. Still Featherstone Rovers 0, Salford 0. So Martin Pearson, 75 goals to his name already this season. Incidentally, Martin Pearson just edging Steve Blakely out in the for the top points scorer in this first division this season. So I'm sure Martin will be pleased that Steve Blakely's not playing today, and I'm sure Martin will want to get as many points on the board as they can, because this will be Featherstone Rovers' last match of the season, and Salford will at least have at least one more match to go after this in the Championship semi-final. And if they win that, they'll be playing on home territory. They should win that match, and then they'll be at Old Trafford. So here we go, Martin Pearson, straight in front of the post, strikes the ball. 2 points for Martin Pearson. Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 0. Martin Pearson's 76th goal of the season.
Featherstone Rovers number 6, Martin Pearson.
So Derek Fox gets the game underway again. Jason Lodden taking that ball. So it's Sam Panaper over his own 20-metre line. And that's a superb tackle, that. Richard Slater there. Superb defence. Tackle that by Richard Slater, and Darren Hughes there rolling the man over. Rovers caught offside. Big number 10 there, Cliff Eccles. So Ali Davis there puts that ball into touch on this near side. So Peter Edwards gets the goal going to Ali Davis. Ali Davis now there getting that ball across the line. Sam Panaper, Jason Lawrence. But that's a good strong defence that on Fatasimi there by Neil Summers. Superb defence that by Neil Summers yet again. So it's Peter Edwards getting that ball across there to number 6, Paul Manson. Paul Manson there getting that ball across the Paul Forber, but once again superb cover defence tackle there by Darren Hughes. Stopping number 2 there, Phil Cousins in his tracks. So Derek Fox to feed the scrum. Just about 5 metres away from his own 20-metre line. Salford looked offside here that scrum. Moving up before the ball will come out of the pack. Referee says it was okay play, so it's Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp there is taking Sam Panaper on, but Sam Panaper and number 4 Scott Martin making the tackles there on Johnny Sharp. So it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Craig Jackson, looking for that halfway line. Got strong tackle that though by Cliffy Eccles. And that number 12 there, Lucchino Savellino there. It ended everything in this first quarter of the match for Salford. So it's Roy Powell. Roy Powell over the halfway line. But good strong defence once again. Number 8 there, Ian Blease making the tackle. So it's Steve Malloy. Ball back inside there for Richard Slater. But Peter Edwards hanging on for dear life. Makes the tackle. Ali Davis just makes sure. So it's Colin Maskell to Roy Powell to Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Steve Lay. Steve Lay there. But superb defence that by Paul Manson on the last tackle that Rovers. Paul Manson there flinging his body at the man there, making the tackle. So Salford get possession just about 2 metres inside their own half of the field. Peter Edwards with the ball to number 12, Lucchino Savellino there, just over the halfway line. It's still Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 0. This game here at Post Office Row in the First Division. Once again, good defence by Richard Slater. Ali Davis with the ball now there to Paul Forber. Paul Forber, so strong a runner in that second row, but Roy Powell there, sweeter than up, brings him down by the bootlaces. So it's Peter Edwards to Sam Panaper. Oh, that looked like obstruction. But referee said play on. Oh, that's poor defence by Rovers. Shocking defence by Rovers, but a brilliant try for Salford. Phil Cousins there. Well, it looked like a suspiciously obstruction by Salford. The man running in front of the ball, but the referee said play on. But Phil Cousins there made something out of nothing. Just split the Featherstone Rovers defence open, and Steve Lay, the Rovers fullback, no way could he get to Phil Cousins that time. The defence in front of him, it was them what to they were to blame for letting Phil Cousins run all that way. And Phil Cousins there showing a clean pair of field, showing his paces to open Salford's try scoring this afternoon. It's Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 4. Big favourite at Salford is Fatasini. Big favourite with the supporters, with the crowd. Here he goes. And he's well off target with that. So Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 4. So number 5, Fatasimi there, gets the game back underway. Steve Malloy taking that ball just inside his own 20-metre area. Makes it to his own 20-metre line. Now it's Eddie Rombo off his wing. We're on the second tackle in this sequence of 6, and Sam Panaper there making the tackle there on the Rovers wingman. So it's Colin Maskell to Craig Jackson. Craig Jackson there looking for that halfway line, but once again good defence that by the Salford Reds. Peter Edwards, Sam Panaper in at the tackle. So it's Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there trying to get that one-hand pass there to Martin Pearson, but good defence once again by Salford. Paul Forber that time making the tackle, so it's Derek Fox to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp there, that's play on. Roy Powell after that ball. But that pass there by Johnny Sharp to Roy Powell being kicked to the ground, and Salford get possession. Ali Davis come away with the ball, and that's a good strong tackle that by Richard Slater there. Hit the Salford player there, number 3, Phil Knowles with his shoulder, and Phil Knowles there knocking the ball on. Good strong tackle that by Richard Slater there on number 3 there, Phil Knowles. Just got his shoulder behind the tackle, and Phil Knowles there spilling the ball just in front of his ear on the gantry, so it'll be Derek Fox to feed the scrum. So the ball's in. Martin Pearson. So it's Martin Pearson back again on the run around. But good defence that by number 6 there, Paul Manson. Brings Martin Pearson down his opposite number, so it's Derek Fox inside there to Roy Powell. Number 10 there, Cliffy Eccles making the tackles. So Colin Maskell to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp looking for that Salford 20-metre line. Paul Forber making the tackle. So it's Colin Maskell on that little dummy run. Good little run that by Colin Maskell. So Craig Jackson from acting half back to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there, will we see the barging run? So near yet so far from the Rovers, number 8. When Salford get possession, Martin Pearson trying to get the ball through. But good play that by Cliff Eccles, stopping that moment. Come up with the ball for Salford. So Ian Blease, but Rovers penalised trying to pinch the ball in the tackle. Ian Blease there will be a relieved man. But referee right on the spot. Good decision by the referee. So it's Sam Panapa now for Salford. Salford still leading by 4 points to 2. Peter Edwards with the ball. That's a bad mistake by number 8, Ian Blease. One eye on the ball, one eye on the man. So it's Colin Maskell. 10 metres inside that Salford half of the field. Steve Lay from acting half back to Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson being tackled by Paul Manson, his opposite number. So it's Richard Slater. One hand pass there to Derek Fox. To Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp there to Steve Lay. Steve Lay there trying to open this Salford defence up, but number 3 there, Phil Knowles, getting across, making the tackle, so it's Darren Hughes. And Darren Hughes penalised for a knock-on. Darren Hughes looking at their field, seemed to be a bit bemused by that, but I'm sure the referee right in that decision, right on the spot. So it'll be Ali Davis to feed the scrum for Salford, just about on that Salford 20-metre line. The ball's in. It's out to Salford. Masson's with the ball there to Jason Lawrence, linking up from full-back. Good defence there by his opposite number there, Steve Lay, making the tackle. So it's Fatty Simi. Once again, good defence by Rovers. Once again, Richard Slater, that tackling machine for Rovers, getting across Sam Panapa on that short side. And once again, good defence that this time by Neil Summers. So it's Ali Davis to Manson with the ball there. Manson there trying to pull that dummy out. But he's still going, is Manson. Good run that by Paul Manson. Seemed to have been stopped twice there. Colin Maskell there seemed to bounce off the player. The referee penalising Craig Jackson, not allowing Paul Manson to play the ball. Penalty to Salford, so it'll be Ali Davis. So while all this is going on, Colin Maskell's limping off the field. Looks like he's got a knee injury, does the lad. Still Ian Blease with the ball, just inside that Rovers 20-metre area. So it's Paul Forber. Paul Forber there, taking the defence on. Superb try once again by Paul Forber, and one has to be asking the question, where were the Featherstone Rovers tacklers in the middle of the field? Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 8. Good try there to Paul Forber, the Salford second row forward. Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 8. Try there to Paul Forber. Just seemed to just waltz around the Featherstone Rovers forwards there as if they didn't exist. Same as the first try. So here we go, Fatisini trying to add the extras on, but once again well wide of the posts. Rovers 2, Salford 8. So Faticini. And that's a bit too on by Faticini. Looking at the ball. Seemed to be a little bit gobsmacked by that, but Dirty Fox knew exactly where he was stood on the line. Ball was sailing over his shoulder. That was a... that ball was going out the moment it left Faticini's boot. Still, penalty kick to Featherstone Rovers on the halfway line. Martin Pearce with the ball in his hands. Here he goes, gets some good leather behind the ball. Gut touch find that by Martin Pearson. So Richard Gunn on for the injured Colin Maskell. Taps the ball there to Craig Jackson. Good barnstorming run that by Craig Jackson. A metre from that line. Paul Forber there making the tackles. Rovers in a good position. Derek Fox for the ball. Derek Fox to Martin Pearson. Taking the defence on. But good defence there by number 12, Lucchini Savellino there making the tackle. So it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox to Richard Slater. Shrugs one, would be tackled out of the way. But too many red shirts in the way that time for number 3, Phil Knowles there making the tackle. So it's Derek Fox now there to Craig Jackson. But good defence that by number 8, Ian Blease. So Richard Gunn to Steve Malloy. Back there to Richard Gunn to Craig Jackson. Craig Jackson so near yet so far. So Richard Gunn with the ball. And Rovers lose the advantage. Sam Panapa there dropping on that loose ball. Richard Gunn didn't know whether to go with it himself or pass the ball. In the end, the ball went to ground. And Sam Panapa said thank you very much. So Salford in possession. Faticini with the ball now on that far side. This time, good strong defence. Eddie Rombo and Neil Summers. Oh, that's a bad mistake, that. Cliffy Eccles. Rare mistake there by the Salford number 10. So safe, Cliff Eccles are running the ball in straight, but that time, one eye on the ball, one eye on the player. And the outcome of that was a knock-on. Just outside that Salford 20-metre area, be Derek Fox to feed the scrum. The ball's in. Martin Pearson with the ball. To Neil Summers. Turns the ball back inside. Neil Summers still going. So it's Steve Later, Derek Fox taking the defence on. So Richard Gunn to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson now, ball back inside to Johnny Sharp, to Steve Malloy. But that Salford defence strong as ever. Good defence there by that number 12 once again, Savellino. So it's Martin Pearson, it's out for Jamie Stokes. So Richard Gunn to Derek Fox, to Johnny Sharp on the rope. Johnny Sharp being tackled just short of that Salford try line. Peter Edwards, Cliffy Eccles making the tackles. So it's Martin Pearson, that little kick throw and that ball. As soon as it left Martin Pearson's boot, that ball was going dead all the way. Salford eager to get on with the game. On this halfway, on this 20-metre line, Peter Edwards to Faticini. Faticini there taking Eddie Rombo on. But Eddie Rombo, Derek Fox getting across and Neil Summers making the tackle there on the Salford number 5. And referee there, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Penalising the Rovers' place for holding down. So Salford put the ball over the RJB mining stand, so it'll be Peter Edwards getting the game underway. Salford just inside that Rovers half of the field on the first tackle. Good defence that time by Steve Malloy and Roy Powell, moving in quickly indeed. So it's number 12, Savellino there. Once again, good defence by Rovers. Craig Jackson, Derek Fox and Richard Slater all involved with the tackle. So it's Ali Davis to Paul Forber. Tried to his name already this afternoon, Paul Forber. So Peter Edwards to Manson there, that little kick throw, and Steve Lay coming across for that ball, picks it up cleanly. Good kick and chase by Salford though, Scott Martin there making the tackle. So it's Jamie Stokes, and good defence that by Scott Martin on Jamie Stokes. And this time Salford caught offside, not standing square at the play of the ball. Penalty kick to Rovers. So Martin Pearson puts the ball in touch on this near side, up to his own 20-metre line. So it's Darren Yowes being tackled there by Ian Blease. So Steve Malloy looking for the halfway line. Good run that by Steve Malloy. Sam Panaper bringing him down on the halfway line. So it's Richard Gunn. Richard Gunn, we're on the third tackle. Craig Jackson there taking that ball from Richard Gunn there, runs it in. Mean tackle by Cliff Eccles though, and now Ali Davis. So it's Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp there, oh, no, that pass to Derek Fox has to scope that ball up. It's still all on Derek Fox, still going. So it's Johnny Sharp inside now there to Richard Gunn there to Roy Powell. Good defence that though by Paul Forber. So it's Steve Malloy to Derek Fox. No, it isn't. The ball's left everybody. Neil Summers has to backtrack, pick the ball up, and that's the last tackle. Well, Rovers really losing the script there in that moment. On the last tackle, is the last thing they wanted was the ball to go to ground. Still, Salford possession. Cliff Eccles with the ball now for Salford. Charging down the middle of the field. Good defence by Steve Malloy and Richard Gunn. Ian Blease has turned up to the halfway line. Good defence by Richard Slater. So it's that number 12 there, Lucchino Savellino. 10 metres inside, Rovers half of the field. Peter Edwards to Sam Panaper. Sam Panaper there trying to dummy his way through, but Richard Slater there standing no dummies. So it's Peter Edwards to Ali Davis. Ali Davis there, that big kick downfield, and Steve Lay there got the ball covered all the way. The ball rolling dead. And just looking down, number 16 there, I think it's Craig Randall on the field. So this is Darren Yowes. Half a break that time, Jamie Stokes. Peter Edwards making the tackle. So Richard Gunn to Derek Fox. Derek Fox change of direction to Steve Malloy. And Cliff Eccles there rolls him over in the tackle. That's 3 tackles this sequence. There's 6 gone already. Richard Gunn, we're inside that Salford 20-metre area. Neil Summers to Derek Fox, to Martin Pearson, to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp now there to Darren Yowes. That's 5 tackles gone already. Martin Pearson from acting half-back now there to Johnny Sharp. Back inside there to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson there. Oh, and this is an interception. Interception there by number 2, Phil Cousins. He read the situation well there to the Salford wingman. Still Rovers 2, Salford 8. Sam Panaper being tackled there by number 10, Craig Jackson. So it's Peter Edwards to Ali Davis, to Paul Forber. But big Roy Powell there gets them big arms round Paul Forber's legs there, making the tackle. So it's Ali Davis. Craig Randall. So it's number 6 there, Paul Massons kicking the ball downfield. Finds touch just on this near side, just inside that Rovers 20-metre area. Yet another scrum, Derek Fox to feed the scrum. The ball's in, it's out for Rovers. Richard Slater picks it up at the base of the scrum. And Sam Panaper there being pulled out by the referee. Going in on Richard Slater there. Penalty kick to Rovers, Martin Pearson. Aiming for the gantry here for us. Rightly so. So it's Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy with the ball, and Steve Malloy there shocking mistake that by Steve Malloy. Once again, Rovers giving possession away after the first tackle. So it's Fattisini. Fattisini with the ball. Once again, brilliant defence that by Richard Slater. Richard Slater there making the brilliant tackle there on Fattisini, and referee there judging that Richard Slater ungentlemanly conducts, holding Fattisini down. Well, he pulled his legs, we were going to play the ball, and referee says, deciding that's a sin bin offence, 10 minutes in the sin bin. And Fattisini having a shot at goal. Yet to kick a goal in this match. It's 2 tries to Salford, again 1 goal for Featherstone Rovers. Still 8 points to 2 in Salford's favour. So Fattisini kicks the ball low, and this time no mistake. Kicks his first goal of the afternoon. It's Featherstone Rovers 2, Salford 10. So Salford get the game underway. Derek Fox. The ball there to Roy Powell. So Eddie Rombo. And the rains are coming down now here at Post Office Road. He's absolutely bouncing it down there in the middle. So Derek Fox now there to Johnny Sharp, back inside to Craig Jackson. Good defence that by Ali Davis and Peter Edwards. So Roy Powell. The Rovers down to 12 men, of course. Richard Slater serving 10 minutes in the sin bin. So Derek Fox there trying to put that ball through. Over Fattisini's head. Finds touch, 1 bounce. Good kick that by the Rovers scrum half there, Derek Fox. The ball's out to Salford. Phil Masson's there, looking for his own 20-metre line. Good defence by Neil Summers, making the tackle zone. That's a good, strong tackle that by Craig Jackson. Salford there losing the ball. So Martin Pearson from acting half-back. Richard Gunn now there to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp now there to Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes being tackled there by Phil Cousins on this near side. So it's Richard Gunn to Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Craig Jackson. And Craig Jackson being stopped in his tracks there by Lucchini Savellino. Good strong defence that by Salford. Richard Gunn to Steve Malloy to Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Martin Pearson. And once again, superb tackling that by Manson on that far side. So it's Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy tackled on his back over that Salford try line. Once again, good defence that by the Salford Reds. Steve Malloy over the try line, just couldn't get the ball down, so it'll be a scrum down. It'll be Derek Fox to feed the scrum for Rovers. Out for the Rovers now, Neil Summers, that little dummy, gives the ball there. And Steve lay there, being caught in 2 minds, whether to give it to Jamie Stokes, but it was still late when Jamie Stokes received the ball. The defence was on him. So Richard Gunn to Derek Fox, back there to Richard Gunn. Richard Gunn now there to Craig Jackson. Craig Jackson once again so near yet so far, but once again, good defence that by Cliff Eccles for Salford. So Martin Pearson to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there to Eddie Rombo. That's back to one. In fact, you see me touch that ball with his hand. So Rovers another 6 tackles. So it's Richard Gunn for Rovers. Gets that ball there to Roy Powell. There should be no panic. There's 4 more tackles to go in this sequence of 6. So Martin Pearson with the ball to Johnny Sharp. Superb defence by Salford there. Number 9, Peter Edwards making the tackle. So it's Martin Pearson to number 3, Neil Summers to Jamie Stokes. Cutting inside, beats the first man. But look at that Salford cover coming across number 3 there. Phil Knowles stopping the spoiling Jamie Stokes' day that time. So Martin Pearson to Jamie Stokes. Jamie Stokes there to Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes get that ball back there for Neil Summers. But once again, this Salford defence. Superb tackling there by Salford. So it's Derek Fox to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there to Roy Powell. And once again, good tackling that by Salford. I think the Salford man's got injured in that tackle. Oh, and Johnny Sharp there. Unbelievable mistake. Rovers throwing everything at Salford, but Salford standing everything that Rovers throw at him. And I'm just seeing that Salford player there injured on that tackle on Roy Powell. I think it's the standoff half there, Phil Massons, I think it is. Referee wipes the clock going again. Just felt a bit groggy stopping Roy Powell there from scoring Rovers' try. But try saving tackle that by the Salford standoff half. So it's Sam Panapit, Craig Jackson and Richard Gunn making the tackles. So it's Craig Randall. Good defence that by Johnny Sharp. Just below us here on the gantry. So it's Peter Edwards to Ali Davis to Paul Forber. And Paul Forber met on the head on there by Roy Powell. And Derek Fox making the tackles. So it's Peter Edwards to Savalino there, just losing his footing before Steve Malloy made the tackle. We're already on the last tackle. Paul Manson there, big up and under there by the Salford standoff half. And Eddie Rombo there takes it second time round. Took it well, that Eddie Rombo. Under tremendous amount of pressure there, Eddie Rombo, when he took that ball. Took it well. Bounced off his chest the first time, got it second time. So it's Darren Hughes for Rovers. But good defence there by number 3, Phil Knowles on Darren Hughes. Diffusing the situation, so it's Jamie Stokes for Rovers down this left-hand touchline side. But once again, Sam Panapper, too many red and white shirts in the way there for the youngster. Johnny Sharp being tackled just below us here by Craig Randall. So it's Derek Fox, that's all on. Steve Lave there picking the loose ball up. So it's Derek Fox to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there to Eddie Rombo. Ball back inside there to Neil Summers. Good play that by Eddie Rombo. Just managed to get the ball inside before he went into touch. So it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Richard Gunn. Richard Gunn to Roy Powell. Roy Powell here. Ball back inside to Martin Pearson. To Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes here going for the line. Has he scored? He's got the ball down. Well, Featherstone Rovers really got that Salford defence stretching that time. First on the right, Eddie Rumble there, nearly tackling to touch, had the sense to throw the ball back inside, and from that moment on, Rovers got the ball coming across the line like an hot cake, and finally it was Darren Hughes going in for his 10th try of the season. It's Featherstone Rovers 6, Salford Reds 10. And that try there just coming at the appropriate time there, just before half-time here. And just looking down, Richard Slater getting ready to come back onto the field. He's served his 10 minutes in the sin bin. So Martin Pearson knows how vital this goal kick is. He's got the books on this afternoon. It's straight between the middle of the post. Rovers 8, Salford 10. Now we've got a game on his hands. Martin Pearson's 77th goal of the season. And like I've just said, Darren Hughes' 10th try of the season. So that gives something for Rovers to build on in the second half. That's surmising, of course, that there's no more scoring before half-time. And seconds are ticking away before half-time, I must add. So it's Salford in the shape of Lucchini, Savellino there with the ball. And there goes the half-time outer here at Post Office Road. After an indifferent first half where Rovers took the lead by Martin Pearson penalty goal, Salford it back with two great tries, first by Phil Cousins, another by Paul Forbes. I must say though that it was bad defence by Rovers, but good tries by the Salford players. Then Fatisimi converted a penalty goal to put Salford 10 points to 2 in front. Then just before half-time there, a passing moment along the line, Darren Hughes there stretching the Salford defence, Martin Pearson converting the half-time score. Featherstone Rovers. For everybody though, don't they?
It's close. A lot of salt with seven players who never played. But the other three were all lost.
No, did that police now today? No.
Today's gold medal prize of £210 has been won by Mr. H. George, a Featherstone supporter, and his kindly donated £100 back to the club for junior development. So it's sincere thanks to Mr. H. George.
Welcome back to Post Office Road for this second half of this Stonebitter Championship game in the First Division between Featherstone and Salford. The half-time score being Featherstone Rovers 8, Salford 10. So all to play for in this second half. As I said prior to this match starting, Salford just one defeat to the name all this summer season when Hull defeated them at the Boulevard early on in the season. So Featherstone Rovers will dearly like to end the season on a 9 note. Well, Fatisini gets the game underway, and once again, too much leather behind the ball again. That puts the initiative straight away towards Featherstone Rovers. Penalty to Rovers just about on the halfway line. So Martin Pearson gets the game rolling straight away. Steve Malloy first driving, now it's Roy Powell. And number 11 there, Paul Forbes, getting across, making the tackle on him. So it's Richard Gunn to Derek Fox to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson, ball back inside there for Johnny Sharp. And number 12 there, Lucchini, Savellino there, making the tackle on his opposite number there, Johnny Sharp. Just about on that Salford 20-metre line. Richard Gunn to Craig Jackson. Craig Jackson there, inching his way towards that Salford try line. So it's Derek Fox to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there, gets that one out, pass up there for Eddie Rombo. Superb play that by Steve Malloy. And Steady Eddie there going in for his 15th try of the season. And Eddie here, a right favourite here with the Post Office Road supporters. They're chanting his name, Eddie, Eddie. And he responded well by taking that ball there off Steve Malloy there and just jumping over the Salford defender there, lying in front of him on the turf to go in for his first try of the afternoon, and like I've just said, his 15th try of the season. It's Featherstone Rovers 12, Salford 10, and that's just the tonic there, what David Ward. 2 out of 2 for Martin this afternoon, 100% kicking record this afternoon, and he still makes it 100% kicking record. 3 out of 3, it's Rovers 14, Salford 10. So Derek Fox get the game underway, the ball's up in the air. And that's well took there by number 1 there, Jason Lawrence. For Salford. Johnny Sharp making the tackle and Richard Gunn. Once again, Johnny Sharp making the tackle. I think the man was Sam Panapa, yes it was. Here we go. Good defence by Rovers. Salford already 3 tackles gone in the sequence of 6, still camped in their own 20-metre line. And gut tackling that by Roy Powell on Cliff Eccles. So it's Paul Forber, and once again Roy Powell there gets them big arms wrapped round his legs there. Superb defending that by Roy Powell. Oh, Ali Davis there. And Paul Manson there gets leather behind the ball. That's a good kick that by Paul Manson. The ball rolling and rolling. Finds touch, just 2 metres from that Featherstone Rovers try line. The ball's in the packets out to Rovers. Darren Yoles in the standoff half position. Good defence by number 3, Phil Knowles. So it's Richard Slater. Already served 10 minutes in the sin bin, Richard Slater. So it's Johnny Sharp. Oh, and that's back play that by Johnny Sharp. He's been round the circuit a long time, has Johnny. Very uncharacteristic of him throwing the ball into touch like that. But it really puts Rovers under pressure. Ali Davis to feed the scrum for Salford. It's out to Salford. Paul Messon with the ball here to Jason Lawrence, linking up front full-back to Phil Cousins. But Rovers defence standing firm, man for man marking that along the line. And Phil Cousins penalised there for mouthing. Mr Kirkpatrick there, the referee, awarding Rovers a penalty kick, so that's a bad mistake by Salford. Their turn to lose the initiative. So it's Steve Malloy. Started this second half like a bang as the Rovers number 8. So it's Rovers just about on that Salford 20-metre line. 2 tackles gone already in the sequence of 6, so it's Richard Gunn. Richard Gunn now there to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson now there to Darren Hughes. It's Johnny Sharp to Roy Powell. Good defence there by number 12, Lucchini Savellino for Salford. Now it's Derek Fox. Derek Fox, long ball out there to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp now there to number 3, Neil Summers. Neil Summers scores the try with number 4, Scott Martin, hanging on to him. But Neil Summers' upper body strength there. Took that pass there off Johnny Sharp. The gap open. Neil Summers shot through it like a ground out of a trap there, and there were no stopping Neil Summers. And Neil Summers there scampering in for his 4th try of the season. It's Rovers 18, Salford Reds 10. So once again Martin Pearson finds himself in the near Similar position to when he converted header on both strides just a couple of minutes ago. So Martin Pearson. Once again, Derek Fox gets the height on the ball. That's a good kick that by Derek Fox, but that's brilliantly took that by Peter Edwards. The Salford number 9 took it under tremendous amount of pressure, so it's Sam Panaper. Once again, superb defending that by Steve Malloy. Well, Steve Malloy there penalised, the referee saying, for holding down, but harsh decision that. Good smother tackle that by Steve Malloy. Sam Panaper appreciated the tackle. So it's Cliff Eccles with the ball. Johnny Sharp, Craig Jackson, Roy Powell all involved with the tackles. Number 12 there, Lucchini Savellino. So it's Ali Davis for Salford. Trying to prise this Rovers defence open. Rovers 3 tries to Salford's 2 this moment in time, and Rovers 3 goals to Salford's 1. So it's Craig Randall, but superb defence that by Neil Summers, watching that moment all the way. So it's Faticini to Paul Masson. Paul Masson there trying to dummies through that gap, but Richard Gunn there getting that ball. It's all on. Richard Gunn. Well, one has to ask the referee after the game what that was all about, because I'm sure that the players don't know and none of the supporters know. The Salford players seem to lose the ball in the tackle. Richard Gunn picked the ball up, starts running away, and the referee gives Salford the head and feed. Never fails to amuse me, some of these decisions. So anyway, Salford Reds, Sally Davis trying to prize his defence home, but Roy Powell there making a copybook tackle round the bootlaces. So it's it's Peter Edwards, that little dummy once again. Roy Powell, superb defending that by the Rovers, second row forward. So it's Paul Forber, after one tackle, gives it to Sam Panaper, to Ali Davis. Ali Davis to Paul Masson. Paul Masson there trying to look for the gaps. Superb defending yet again by Roy Powell. So Ali Davis, that little kick through, and that's brilliantly took that by Derek Fox, didn't he? Read the situation well. So it's Darren Hughes. Salford caught offside. Well, to say the game's hotting up here at Post Office Road is an understatement. At least the sun's out. But I'm sure it's a little bit more hotter out there in the middle of the field, in more ways than one. So Richard Gunn gets the game underway, gives it to Craig Jackson, and Cliffy Eccles there makes the tackle on his opposite number. So Richard Gunn now there to Richard Slater. And that number 12 there, Lucchini Savellino there making the tackle. So it's Steve Malloy there. What a game he's had this second half. So it's Derek Fox. Being tackled there by Craig Randall, just inside that Salford 20-metre area. So it's Johnny Sharp to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson taking the defence on. Trying to keep the ball alive, losing the ball in the tackle. Salford get possession. Number 9 there, dropping on that loose ball, Peter Edwards for Salford. But just look at them Rovers defenders there. Martin Pearson, Richard Slater making the tackles there. Severino there gets up to play the ball, so it's Sam Panaper for Salford. Ex-Wigan player, of course, Sam Panaper. So it's Paul Masson inside there to Craig Randall, looking at that halfway line, but once again, good defence that by Craig Jackson. And Roy Powell, what a tremendous work rate Roy Powell's got in this match. Not in just in this match, in every match, I should say. And that little kick downfield there, Eddie Rombo allowing the ball to run into touch, Shawker bouncing ball. It'll be a scrum on that 10-metre mark, 20 metres in from this near touchline side, and with Derek Fox to feed the scrum. It's still Rovers 18, Salford 10. Still all to play for. Derek Fox there just giving Eddie Rombo the nod. So there we go. And that's what the nod was all about. So Derek Fox to Neil Summers. Neil Summers, that long ball out there to Darren Hughes. Brilliant pass that by Neil Summers for Darren Hughes to run onto that ball. So it's Johnny Sharp. Being rolled over in the tackle, Richard Gunn with the ball, looking at that halfway line. And Salford caught offside. Now then, Martin Pearson takes his time, rightly so. We've got to make sure this ball goes into touch. Keeps the ball low, finds touch there, just about on that Salford 20-metre line. Richard Gunn taps the ball, gives it to Craig Jackson, runs it in. Tackle there by Peter Edwards. So it's Rovers, Steve Malloy to Derek Fox. Derek Fox now there to Steve Lay, linking up from fullback on the blind side. But Peter Edwards watching that move all the way, so it's Steve Malloy. So Derek Fox now there to Richard Slater. Once again cutting the ball back inside, still going Richard Slater. Good defence by Salford. So Derek Fox to Martin Pearson, back to Derek Fox to Johnny Sharp on the angle. Are we going to come away with a drop goal? I'm sure we are. Martin Pearson there. 1 point's better than none, and Martin Pearson puts Rovers 19-10 in the lead. Incidentally, that's Martin Pearson's first drop goal of the season to go with his 78 goals. So that's 7 points for Martin Pearson in this game. It's Rovers 19, Salford Reds 10. So Derek Fox, it's the game underway. And Sam Panaper, I should say, takes that ball inside his own 20-metre area. So it's Jason Lawrence, and once again, what a gut strong tackle that, Richard Slater. And once again, Richard Slater making the tackles. Number 17 on the field for Salford, Andy Burgess. Now it's Craig Randall. But too many blue and white shirts in the way there for Craig Randall. Eddie Rombo, Martin Pearson, Neil Summers. So it's Andy Burgess. And just looking down here, Watson on the field and off for Salford. I just can't see who's gone off. Still, we'll concentrate on the players who are on the field. And Steve Lay there, didn't he take it well? That overspool back there, taking that big up and under there. So it's Jamie Stokes for Rovers. He's after one tackle. Going in confidence with every match he plays is Jamie Stokes. Scored an absolutely superb try at the Boulevard last Sunday. So it's Neil Summers being back inside there for Eddie Rombo. Eddie Rombo gets that ball away there to Roy Powell. Over the halfway line. Roy Powell losing the ball, but a two-man tackle there. Penalty kick to Rovers, right under the nose of the referee that time. I think it was Cliffy Eccles there. And instructions there from David Ward up here on the gantry to Martin Pearson, saying go for goal, but I'm sure that Martin Pearson had already decided they were going to go for goal, because he just threw the ball down, and as soon as he did that, the referee pointed to the post for the touch judges to go behind the sticks. So another golden opportunity here for Martin Pearson to add to his goal tally this season, and also to put 2 more points on the board for Featherstone Rovers, which is, of course, is the most important thing of all. Rovers 19, Salford Reds 10. And I bet Salford have wondered what's hit them in this second half. Rovers have really come out and blissed Salford in this second half. Trailing just before half-time by 10 points to 2. Remember that Darren Yost try just on the stroke of half-time, converted by Martin Pearson, putting Rovers within 2 points of Salford's score. Then in the second half, Rovers 2 quick tries. 1 to Neil Summers, 1 to Eddie Rombo. Martin Pearson conversion and a Martin Pearson drop goal, putting them really in the box seat. So here we go. Martin Pearson straight in front. Well, he's got the height and he's got the direction. Straight between the middle. It's Featherstone Rovers 21, Salford Reds 10.
Penalty goal there from Featherstone Rovers, number 6, Martin Pearson.
So once again, Derek Fox gets the boat to the ball. Jason Lawrence takes that ball. Is it Jason Lawrence? It is, just the fullback. So it's Andy Burgess. Runs that ball in. Good defence that by Steve Malloy. So Paul Forber. Experienced forward Paul Forber. Been round the circuit a long time. Like I said previously, years of experience with St Helens, now with Salford. So Cliffy Eccles. As that ball, it's all on. Oh, why didn't the referee let advantage go that time? Salford player had played the ball. It hit Steve Malloy's foot as he was going back, and but the referee had to give Salford a penalty. Still, they've got another 6 now inside that Rovers 20-metre line. Ian Watson to Masson to Jason Lawrence. But Neil Summers just happened to get hold of Scott Martin's jersey that time, pull him to the floor. So it's Fattasini, runs the ball in the field. Fattasini still going. He's lost the ball in the tackle. So penalty kick to Salford. Rovers caught offside. So Paul Forber there, caught in 2 minds. Richard Slater making the tackle. So it's Peter Edgeworth from acting half back to Sam Panaper, to Andy Burgess. Tramming for that try line, tackle 2 metres short. So it's Cliffy Eccles, good defence by Rovers. Steve Malloy moving off the line very quickly indeed. So once again, good defence by Rovers. This time it's Rovers who's got to do all the defending. Salford throwing everything at him. So it's Masson with the ball there. Masson there being tackled by Martin Pearson. Lost the ball in the tackle. That's the scrum down. With Derek Fox to feed the scrum. Number 6 there, Paul Masson, didn't like the decision, but referee Mr Kirkpatrick right on the spot. Like he was just about a minute ago when he gave Salford the benefit of the doubt, but penalising Rovers for offside. So it's Derek Fox feeding the scrum. The ball's with Eddie Rombo. Eddie Rombo! That's what the crowd will love to see, Eddie Rombo on an 80-metre run. So it's Darren Hughes. Good defence that by Sam Panaper though on Darren Hughes, the Rovers centre. So it's Martin Pearson from acting half-back. And once again, Sam Panaper there, riding on his back, making the tackle on the Rovers standoff half. So it's Steve Lay. Steve Lay over the halfway line. Rovers playing one-man rugby, bringing the ball out of the danger zone. So it's Steve Malloy. Trying to turn round in the tackle. Now we're looking for a one-pointer again. Derek Fox with the ball. Derek Fox there just hooks the ball over, it's all on. Once again, good defence that time by Martin Pearson. Good kick and chase by Rovers. So it's Salford, that's the first tackle, 6. And this is better stuff from Rovers in this second half. They looked a little bit lethargic in that first half, did Rovers. Salford taking the initiative. But in the second half, there's only one team in it up to now. Still, things can alter in this game of rugby league, in this modern day game of rugby league, I should say. So Cliffy Eccles there, plays the ball. So number 14 there, Ian Watson, that big kick downfield, and the ball just that little bit too much. Rolls dead. So that'll be a tap for Rovers on their own 20-metre line. And they all got back on side. And Derek Fox, rightly so, just holding onto that ball till every player had got behind the line. So it's headed on ball for Rovers. That's the first tackle, Ian Watson making the tackle. So Darren Hughes on that short side. That's 2 tackles gone in the sequence of 6. So it's Johnny Sharp, he'll look for the halfway line, but Peter Edwards there, make sure he doesn't reach it. The Salford hooker, good defence that by Peter Edwards. So it's Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy, that's the 4th tackle gone just inside that Salford half of the field. And that's 5 tackles gone already. So Derek Fox running the ball to Martin Pearson. Oh, and Martin Pearson caught one that time. So it's Andy Burgess to Fatasini. Fatasini stopped by Eddie Rombo. Derek Fox taking the legs there of Fatasini, making sure he can't run no more. So it's Ian Watson. Ian Watson, I think he's had a long stint at Workington, Ian Watson, this season. That looked like a knock-on to me. Peter Edwards there, got away with that. I thought it was a knock-on, man, shit. I'm up here on the gantry, so it's Craig Randall. Being tackled there by Roy Powell, and Salford putting the pressure on this Rovers defence now. Getting the ball back, so it's Peter Edwards. Won't room to manoeuvre. Craig Randall to Manson with the ball, and they're lining up over here. Sam Panapy to Scott Martin. Has he got over the try line? Now then, number 4 there, Scott Martin, did he score the try? He's having a word with his in-goal touch judge. I don't think he has. Scott Martin adjusts to have lost the ball over the try line. So it's Jamie Stokes for Rovers. And that pass could have been a lot better there by Darren Hughes to Jamie Stokes. Still he kept hold of the ball for Rovers. So I should imagine as far as Featherstone Rovers is concerned, that's all what matters. Just keeping possession, keeping the ball off of Salford for long periods of time. That's what Rovers have done in the second half. They've played the 6 tackles out, and that's what this game of rugby league's all about. Just the basic, simple things. Just keeping that ball off the opposition for your 6 tackles. So it's Richard Gunn to Derek Fox to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there being rolled over in the tackle there by number 6 there, Paul Masson. So Derek Fox, big up and under, Phil Cousins underneath it, and Jason Lawrence there takes that ball on one knee. Took the ball well there, did Jason Lawrence, under pressure. Number 2 there, Phil Cousins running the ball in. Steve Malloy making the tackle. So it's Fatasini. Superb defending that, Richard Slater, Roy Powell making the tackles there on Fatasini. So it's Sam Panapy on this blind side, but Martin Pearson put his body in the way. Made the 1-on-1 man tackle that time, did Martin Pearson. Ian Watson to 4-4, and once again Martin Pearson and Roy Powell making the tackles. Superb defence by the Blue and Whites in this second half. So it's Ian Watson, that little kick over. Good little kick that by Ian Watson. Superb play, but on the last tackle, no Featherstone Rovers player touched that ball. Good little play that by Ian Watson there. So it's Paul Masson to Jason Lawrence. We're on the last tackle. Salford still throwing the ball about. Ian Watson with the ball to Sam Panapy. Sam Panapy there to Scott Martin, and that's the knock on. Well, surely, referee says no, play on. Now it's all on. Rose have got possession. So it's Steve Lay. Well, one's only got to think what might have been if Rovers had played with his commitments in the last previous 3 matches, what might have been. Still. So it's Johnny Sharp taking Andy Burgess on. So Craig Jackson off the field, Jason Sims on, a prop forward for the prop forward. I'm talking to Craig Jackson before the match and he was going through a fitness test. He looked very doubtful for today's game. Steve Malloy there just couldn't take that pass there off Richard Gunn. So it's Fantasini for Salford. And Jason Sims in the thick of it straight away, making the tackle along with Johnny Sharp there on the Salford number 5. And Johnny Sharp penalised. And the ball hasn't gone. Eddie Rombo takes that ball, he's running it in. Bad mistake by the Salford player there. I don't know, I think it was, well, I don't like to put a name to that, it's not fair, but whoever the Salford player was kicking the ball to touch, he made a right mistake. So it's Darren Hughes, oh! Tried to get the ball to Jamie Stokes. The idea was right, but the end result wasn't. The ball went flying into touch. Relief for Salford and relief for the Salford penalty kicker. I don't know what time we kicked off. Alan! 12. So still 12 minutes. Still 12 minutes left in this game here at Post Office Road. Rovers still 21 to 10 to the good. I'm going to say Rovers still hanging on, but I don't think they're hanging on. I think they deserve this lead, 21 points to 10 for the second half performance. So it's Andy Burgess. So it's Ian Watson trying to get his Salford troops going. Craig Randall losing his footing. Ball back there to Ian Watson, but good. Good defence by Richard Slater, but Jason Sims there coming in second man, and referee penalising for laying down the tackle. So this time Ian Watson, no mistake with the penalty kick, finds touch on this near side. So it's Peter Edwards to Ian Watson, to Cliffy Eccles, but Steve Malloy there waiting for Cliff Eccles there, and Jason Sims making the tackle. So it's Andy Burgess, and this time Andy Burgess so eager to run the ball in, knocks the ball on, and Salford lose the initiative. And that coming on the second tackle. So it'll be a scrum down on that Rovers 20-metre line, with Derek Fox to feed the scrum. Rovers 21, Salford Reds 10. Still all to play for. Derek Fox just giving him the instructions out. Gives the ball there to Martin. Oh, Martin Pearson there juggling with the ball. Finally took it, runs the ball in. So Jason Sims, well, there's a bloody wasp. So it's Johnny Sharp, getting his momentum going there. But good strong tackle that by Sam Panapy, but a good play of the ball that by Johnny Sharp, keeping the Rovers moving, and Peter Edwards there making the tackles. So it's Derek Fox to Jason Sims. Ooh, that little dummy. And that's the changeover. So Ian Watson putting that penalty kick what the referee awarded as Salford into touch. So it's Cliffy Eccles runs it in. Jason Sims makes the tackle. So Ian Watson to Paul Forber, cutting inside. And once again, Jason Sims rolls him over in the tackle. Peter Edwards to Ian Watson, to Paul Masson, to Sam Panapa. Salford really throwing everything at Rovers, but that Rovers defence standing firm in this second half. Andy Burgess to Masson. Ooh, and Masson, the second bite of the cherry, juggling with the ball. So it's Sam Panapa to Cliffy Eccles, off number 3. Phil Knowles runs it in. So it's Ian Watson on this near side, and good defence that by number 3, Neil Summers. We're on the last tackle already. Fatasini it is now for Salford. Fatasini, ball up in the air, it's all on. Steve Lay underneath it. Oh, that's a bad mistake. That puts Salford 6 more tackles. Jason Lawrence with the ball. To number 3, Phil Knowles. And Phil Cousins there trying to go in for his second try of the match, but Rovers defence standing firm. 4 more tackles for Salford to go in the sequence of 6. That would a try-saving tackle if ever you saw one. Richard Gunn there pulling the tackle off. So it's Sam Panapa. Sam Panapa now to Craig Randall. He mid loses the ball. It's all on. And Sam Panapa there Craig Randall knocking the ball on, and once again 10 out of 10 for Rovers for that defensive stint that time. Salford looked all on to go in for the 3rd try of the match, but Rovers defence standing firm. So it'll be Derek Fox to feed the scrum. Just giving the nod there to Neil Summers and to Eddie Rombo. So who's going to get the ball? It's Eddie Rombo. And Paul Masson there making the tackle on Eddie Rombo. So Darren Hughes out of one tackle. Got strong run that by the Rovers centre, Darren Hughes. So it's Jason Sims. Jason Sims there gets rid of the ball. That's good play that by Rovers. Derek Fox is over the halfway line. Them little legs is pumping. Good play that by Jason Sims, keeping the ball alive. Now it's Martin Pearson taking this defence on. Martin Pearson. Eddie Rombo takes his second time. Fatasini there making the tackle, so it's Neil Summers to Roy Powell. Roy Powell there being rolled over by Andy Burgess. We're on the last tackle. Go on. Bloody swarm on him. So Derek Fox there, that little kick through, but Derek Fox knew that kick was a little bit too hard. So Rovers have got to get organised on that Salford 20-metre line. Peter Edwards taps the ball. Gives it there to number 3. Phil Knowles. But once again, good defence that by Richard Gunn. So it's Andy Burgess. Wasn't it, Ian Watson? This is Andy Burgess over the halfway line, but Roy Powell meets him full on. Makes the tackle, quick play the ball that by Andy Burgess. Now it's Paul Masson with the ball, Paul Masson, and that's a terrible ball, and Jamie Stokes kicks it through, it's all on, and the chase is on. Jamie Stokes is after this ball. He tries to pick it up, it's still all on. Richard Slater, tackle inches short. Oh, and that's got to be a 10 minutes in the sin bin, that. But on the Salford players' defence there, he had to do that. At least he saved a certain Rovers try. But he just had to do that, did the lad. And I don't think Angie Gregory will be playing out with the lad for that, because in them circumstances I should imagine 100 players out of 100 will do exactly the same. Number 14 there, Ian Watson. Professional foul, I'm sure, but in a situation like that, I think every player would do the same. But referee quite right in sending him off for 10 minutes in the sin bin for that professional foul. So penalty kick to Rovers. This time it's Salford who's down to 12 men. Richard Slater, of course, served 10 minutes in the sin bin for Rovers in the first half. So Martin Pearson looking at the posts. Rovers looking at the ball. All the time in the world will do. He knows that Rovers have got this game by the scruff of the neck, leading by 21 points to 10. 4 goals and a drop goal to his name already this afternoon, Martin Pearson. So here he goes. He's got the height and he's got the direction. Rovers 23, Salford H 10. Martin Pearson's 80th goal of the season, plus that 1 drop goal. And Rovers making a substitution. Neil Summers coming off the field. And number 16 there, young Richard Newlove. Coming on, number 16.
Today's Featherstone Rovers man of the match, sponsored by Steve Lingard, builder from Sandal Wastefield, goes to Featherstone Rovers number 13, Richard Wakefield.
Oh, there we go. It's the Rovers man of the match, sponsored of course by one of our great sponsors, Steve Lingard. He's sponsored Featherstone Rovers matches, I think nearly every match this season has Steve Lingard, and well done to him, and he gives it to rightly so to Richard Slater. Tremendous tackling stint by Richard Slater in this match. So it's Paul Masson inside there to Sam Panapit. And Salford's really looking at 6s and 7s now in this last few minutes of the game. So it's Paul Masson back inside there to Craig Randall to Paul Forber. Tried to keep the game going, and that's just the difference between the two teams in the second half. Rovers really hungry for that ball, and Richard Slater there really putting his body on the line. So Derek Fox it is, Derek Fox. Tackle there by number 6, Paul Masson in that middle of the field. So it's Steve Malloy. He's had a good second half and all for over. That's Steve Malloy. So it's Richard Gunn to Derek Fox to Roy Powell. Roy Powell here. So it's Steve Lay to Derek Fox to Johnny Sharp. Johnny Sharp now there to Richard Newlove. So it's Slater there, Richard Slater there, and Richard Gunn says thank you very much. Gives the ball there to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson there to Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes! Darren Hughes! Powers his way over that Salford try line for his second try of the match. His 11th for the season, and that try coming from that Richard Slater missed pass on this side beat several Featherstone Rovers players going on its way there to Richard Gunn. Richard Gunn there gave the ball to Martin Pearson. Martin Pearson took the Salford defence on, finally gave the pass there to Darren Hughes, and Darren Hughes there steamrolled his way over that Salford try line for his second try of the afternoon, and like I've just said, his 11th of the season. It's Rovers 27, Salford 10. So there we go. Just before the match finishes, I'd like viewers and listeners to know that I'm doing the commentary also for Salford, and I'll apologise to Andy Gregory and his Salford players. If they're watching this video after the match, I've got to be a little bit biased, and I'm a Rovers supporter. So there we are, a good result for Rovers this afternoon. Well, like I've said previously, congratulations to Salford. And the ball there just sneaking over Martin Pearson's 6th goal of the afternoon, and there goes the final outer. Featherstone Rovers. (29) Salford 10. Now just go through all the try scorers for you for Salford. 10 points. Phil Cousins a try. Paul Forber a try, and Fatisini 2 goals. In reply, Featherstone Rovers, Eddie Rumbo a try. Neil Summers a try. Darren Hughes 2 tries. And Martin Pearson 6 goals and 1 drop goal. And jubilant scenes here at Post Office Road for this last match of the season. Like I've said, congratulations to Salford on winning the First Division. Commiserations to Featherstone Rovers, just missing out on the playoffs. But the Featherstone Rovers supporters and the Featherstone Rovers players are thanking the supporters for their support all this season. Well done, Featherstone Rovers, finishing on an high. Featherstone Rovers 27, Salford 10. Rovers 29, Salford 10.